keep them happy. And you have to keep them happy. You're up to the data challenge. Now, what's the data challenge? Actually, this is it's really Tableau at the backhand. And I have to give credit to my daughters because they sponsored me with the Lego. It's keep it simple in one picture, right? We actually had a bit of a problem with the dashboard when we delivered it. One of the first things the you make me the owner said, "Look at this here. This can't be right, because I have got an Excel sheet which says different." Now that's a challenge, because how do you prove to your users that your data is correct? When you roll out Tableau for the first time, you're going to give them new insights, but they are going to compare you to their old manners. They are going to say, my old Excel sheet says something different. And they might be correct. So, this is always true, right? Whatever source you use, the data is always correct. Do you agree? Sample data is. Sure. The sample database you get with any kind of tool, it's perfect. It's perfect for displaying the capabilities of the tool and not having to deal with any data issues. This is the actual case. Data is never okay. And we had a bit of a discussion about this phrase because it hurts me. I'm a DBA at heart, used to be, and my data models are always correct. So there are occasions when this is not completely true. But actually, of course, I make mistakes. Data changes, and you have to deal with it. And so data is changing, and it is never okay. You have to do something with it. So what can be wrong, potentially, with data? Anyone in the room? Suggestions? Inconsistent? No primary keys leading up to duplicates? Typos? Really? Imagine yourself a field in an application and you're able to enter your city. Just look at the data. You'll find multiple and multiple different types of one city. Actually the same city, but in the data it's not. Freeform text, Java applications, oh, freeform text, lovely. Good for indexing, good for data corruption. Changes to your data, to the application will cause inconsistencies like no historical records, new values that have been introduced, you're not dealing with them, or new logic has been added to existing values. So actually from January 1st, 2010, the value 10 means something different than before that day. You have to deal with it. So if you put this kind of data in dashboards, you might have a potential problem because users assume correct data when they open a dashboard. It's not like you can say to them, here's a nice dashboard, but I'm not sure that what I'm giving you visually is actually correct. So it's an assumption. No, they assume correct data, and they should. So you don't have a second chance to get it right. And it really is a matter of a first impression that counts, because I've been there. I had a dashboard delivered, the one I showed you in the first slide, and it had wrong data. And we didn't notice until we presented it and the business said it's not correct. We actually used Tableau to discover the fact that the data was wrong, which is also an absolute added value for Tableau. You're able to discover data, that's what it's about. But you're also able to discover if something is wrong. But please capture it before you present it, because you do not have a second chance to get it right. What good is your sexy dashboard with crappy data. So what can you do about it? Well, Tableau has a couple of options, of course. You can exclude values, you can hide them, and you can make sets. And if you want to make it complicated, you can program logic and calculate the fields. And you can go rather far with that. But with all due respect to Tableau, and it's a fantastic product, but it is limited if you have multiple data sources and you want to clean your data and you want to do all kinds of extra stuff in your data. So what can you do outside? Well, of course, there is the major option, change the source. But I know a lot of DBAs who will not allow you to change your database, your source, the values inside, because of legacy, because of consistency. So this might actually be rather difficult. So what if you can? And perhaps you don't even want to. I suggest use some sort of ETL tool to solve your problem. Get your data correct. Prepare it before you provide it to your dashboard. So this is the part where everything can go right or not. Yeah, let's try. I usually like standing in front of people, but it's a little bit difficult with a laptop. Any questions so far? Yeah, it's okay. So, this is an empty sheet. I said, this is an empty sheet. And it's, well, this is what we use for our ETL. There's nothing there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to use an Excel sheet, which is of course a source on its own, which you can discuss about. And the Excel sheet contains the information, which I like. It's top 40 hits from the last 50 years. Aggregated by year, so you know the year charts where every year they're published, and there's someone and number 1 and number 2, etc. So I have them back to 1958, and it's all there. But of course, hits cross years. So if I want a dashboard which contains all hits, I have to summarize by year. So what we're going to do in here, it says points per year, and the highest position in the year, the number of weeks that it was in the chart. I want to add 2 fields which contain the points total over all the years and the number of weeks over all the years. So we have to aggregate. And of course I know you can do the aggregation in Tableau too. But what I want to do afterwards, besides aggregating it, is also look on do more stuff with the aggregated data itself. So it adds an extra step to your business intelligence. So let's try this. I'm just going to take my workbook. You can compare it to a workbook. We call it a graph. I'm just going to take the top 40 Excel file, drop it in here, and I have a reader. This reads the data. That's it. What I do next is I right-click it and I say extract metadata. It reads the header and it comes up with this. Where's my? Here are my columns, and it makes values for it. So when I save this one, I said finish. I now have a metadata definition. I could edit it if I wanted to. And here are all the fields, and it automatically determines what kind of field it should be. This is the one we're going to use to start with. So let's, for sake of testing will output it to a trash. Okay, put in trash, connect it, select the metadata definition I just had, enable debug just to see if everything will work, and I run it. Now this is the yeah, okay, that's the part where things can go wrong. Actually I did. So run without the edit, enable debug. Here it goes. You can see all the records go by. There are about 15,000 in there. Actually I have to run it again because I didn't enable debug before I ran it the first time. And just to see if everything goes right, this is a very basic in and out, so nothing should go wrong. You can see here all the records go by. I right click it and I view the data to see if it will read everything I need. And here it is. So that's part one. Right now I'm looking to aggregate over title and artist so I can aggregate the years together. So what I do is I add a sort. Let's make this one smaller. Make some space here. Widen this one. I just grab the sort, drop it in between, and it's in. Then I only have to edit the fields I want to sort by, which will be artist and title. Click OK, OK, and let's run it again. It automatically enables the debug part, and now you will be able to see that it was aggregated on year before, as you can see. And right now you will see that it will be ordered by artist and title. So if I want to aggregate it, I want to add two columns because I want to have the total points over all the years, and I want to have the total of the number of weeks it was in the chart. So I have to add two columns. I will duplicate my set, and I will aggregate one, and then I will add them together again. So there is a simple copy. I just drop it in. Here we go. A simple copy does nothing else than duplicate the set that was already coming from my previous component. From there, I simply put in the aggregate, link it to the other edge of the copy. Right now you can see it is there's an exclamation mark which says you do not have an output to this. So let's put an output there too. Again, the trash, there it is, just to see that everything is working. I need another edge here, because right now I've been using the same metadata definition here, here, here. Of course that is correct because I'm not actually changing anything, but this part is also the same, but after aggregation I will need something else. So I will need to build another metadata definition. We go into the definition here. I can simply duplicate it. Yeah, copy is top 40. This is aggregate. I open it and edit it. I don't need year anymore, so I just delete it. Sorry, this one. I don't need position. I only need points, and number of weeks. So highest position also can be deleted. That's my new definition. And all I need to do now is when I draw the line in between, select the new metadata definition, enable debug. And this is not going to run yet because I still have to tell it what it should aggregate by. So I go into aggregate and I say your aggregation key will be title and artist. And actually, if I was correct, it was the other way around. So I put that on top. Now I still have to do the mapping because my artist and title, as you can see, are already mapped because they're the aggregation key. And right now I have to say to points and to number of weeks. Actually, I made a mistake here. I'm going to save this one, and for logic's sake I'm going to edit the names of these fields. As you can see, if you make a mistake and you're willing to change it, it's rather simple. Let's add it as a total. Nothing changes except the name. But we will be able to recognize it when we put them together again. Now back to the aggregation. It still has the two fields I already mapped, and all I have to do now, points total is going to be my points original, and then the sum of all the fields it will find. Same goes for number of weeks. I drop it in, and all I have to do is summarize it. Okay, and run. Maximize this one, run it. Now if you look at the numbers, hopefully you will notice, first of all, I hope everything goes right. Looks like it. And then you will see here, it's a smaller number than here. So what I'm doing right now is also a kind of data check. The steps my data will go through. I thought about it. It's logic, because I'm going from one place to another. I'm changing my data, and I am expecting that the same number will be put into sort and out of sort. After copy, it will be the same, and I will present it to aggregation, and aggregation will have less records. If this would have been the same, something in my logic was wrong, or perhaps I am getting a really strange number that I don't expect. So this is also a kind of way to look into your data and find the exceptions you might not have expected. So let's see if everything went okay. And I look in the view data part. And now you can see a couple of columns are gone, and the points total and numbers total are actually together. Okay, what we need to do now is join them. Oh. That never happened before, Pavel. Oh, that was the wrong one. Sorry for that. This is where I'm at right now. First of all, I'm going to replace the first trash by an Excel file. So my output, I'm just going to output to an Excel file. Excel is the most used BI tool in the world, and you guys are ready to replace it, so let's use an Excel file. I'm going to delete the trash, which sounds a little bit weird. And I'm going to output it to an Excel file. Enable debug. Exclamation mark is about supplying a point where you need to output it to. I'll just put it in data out, and I'll just call it demo data dot XLSX. OK. OK. Run. In the data out, you will see a file be created. There it is. We'll go back to the graph. It'll run, and the Excel file will be populated. So this is just checking if everything is okay, and it works out. The writing of the Excel file takes a little bit longer because it's a special structure, but once that's done, we can then combine the aggregates which we already made together with the original data, and we'll have added a couple of fields to our original data. So let's see if the Excel file is okay. Here we go. Looks like it. Seems like I forgot one thing. Header. Remember to close it, otherwise if you try to override it, it will just bounce. Metadata row. No. What? Save. First of all, we are going to put in the joiner. So we take in xmerge join, which is just a name for a component to join your data. We take out the trash, again, put in a merge join. This is nicer if it's like this. And I put in the aggregate. Right now I have to select, of course, the metadata because I just deleted the other one. It's this one, which we actually designed for this step itself. Enable debug. Enable debug. And in the xmerge join, we have to supply a join key. And those are our two fields again, with the other way around. Artist up there. OK. Apply. And you have to provide a transformation. Now this is might seem a little bit complex, but it's rather simple, because what I normally do is I automap by name, and it gets it wrong in this case because some of the fields are double. So let's not do that. Cancel. Do it again. I can simply say year to year, and these are the two edges we had on this side, and this is the metadata definition we made ourselves, and this is the original file, and I left out a couple of the original file because I don't need them to aggregate, so I can put them, connect them to the output right now. Position, points. Oh. Okay, yeah, because it doubled it. Thank you. It is, because actually that's what I'm going to use right now, because as you can see, the meta definition on the edge that I used, I didn't add the two extra columns. We can use title and artist. And what I can do now is actually drag in the extra fields, and we're done. Run. Now hopefully I didn't mess up here. I see Pavel looking. This is the sweaty part for me. Yeah, let's go with the numbers, guys. Here they are. Of course, the expected number here is 15,738. Looks like it. And all I can do now is view the data. And if it's correct, you can see that there are extra columns here. Now, as you can see, Dreadlock Holiday by 10cc had 481 points in 78 and 19 points in 79. So I aggregated the two together, and now it has 500 points, and it's in there. So I added the data. This is just a simple example to add data. You can, in the same way, cleanse your data, remove the data that you do not need, or add extra intelligence by adding columns that might be very interesting to provide to your end users in your dashboard. And that's why we, almost every time, because the data is always correct, right? Almost every time, prepare our data before we apply it to Tableau. That was the demonstration. I could go on for hours, but you are ready for lunch. Luckily, I had you before the lunch dip, so you were allowed to have your lunch dip after someone else. Any questions?
You start from an Excel sheet, you do some transformations, you end up with an Excel sheet,
Yeah.
and then the latest Excel sheet, that is your source of Tableau. Or is there
Exactly.
an easier way to connect Tableau directly to some output of both?
You know, it's purely for the demo and for my ease of use, to use an Excel sheet to start with and to use an Excel sheet to end up with, because otherwise I would have to need a database, etc. But it doesn't matter. This reader here could be anything, what you need, XML, any kind of database. It could be a web service, it could be JSON, it could be a flat file, an Excel sheet like I showed you. Same goes for the output. Anywhere you want to put it, doesn't matter. I used one source. You can add dozens. Make it as complex as you need to. You can output to one. Perhaps you need to output to two. You need output this file, do your stuff, and output it to 3 different databases with different aggregation levels. Whatever you need. And then provide it to Tableau.
How about scheduling your data?
Yeah, good question. Consider this the same kind of tool like Tableau itself is. You have a developer which you design your stuff, and then you deploy it onto a server, then you can schedule it.
Okay.
This is just a designer to build it.
If you connect to huge data sources and you build this kind of model, is it loading, how much data is loaded into the tool when you design? Is it loading a little bit certain data, or is everything loaded?
Right now I use everything. It's the possibility to use a sample data set.
We have data sampling features for doing the debugging that Chris was showing, so you can do that.
Yeah, but usually a large data set, large is a,
50 million?
yeah, it's no problem. I would do it here.
You can do it like on the fly.
Yeah,
It's
not that complex. Any other questions? If any questions pop up, we are at the booth. I don't want to keep you from your lunch. Thank you for your attention, and have a good rest of the conference. Thank you, guys.